Chosen one, for God's sake, listen to this right now, not tomorrow, not later. Right now. This is not a message. It's an alert from heaven, a divine broadcast, a final transmission before the next chapter of your life is sealed. God didn't send you here to wait. He sent you to wake up. Something in your spirit has already felt it. That pull, that restlessness, the shift you can't name. The noise of the world has tried to drown it out, but you keep hearing it. That voice whispering, there's more. There's something I'm missing, something I'm meant to do. Yes, because you were never designed to live an average life. You were not made for silence. You were not born to fit. You are the interruption in this world's pattern. You are the final key in a divine sequence. And this is your step, the final step. Comment 777. Right now, if your spirit is already catching this fire, if something is burning in you that refuses to settle, let the universe know you're awake. Let heaven register your agreement. Let the enemy know you're done being silent. For too long, you've been surrounded by distractions designed to dull your fire. But your fire didn't die. It was preserved, hidden for this exact moment. Because this isn't just another season. This is a divine event, a heavenly scheduled awakening. The systems around you are starting to crack. People are falling asleep while you are being activated. Your eyes are opening. Your spirit is stretching. Your soul is remembering. And hear me, this isn't you leveling up. This is you being pulled into a dimension you were always meant to own. You are the glitch in this matrix. You are the frequency that doesn't belong in their patterns. That's why they couldn't read you. That's why they underestimated you. That's why every attack failed, and yet you survived every single one of them. And now, heaven is whispering, it's time. Comment 777 if you're already feeling it. Don't delay. This number isn't just digits, it's alignment. It's the vibration of divine closure, completion, full circle energy. This is spiritual signature. Now pay close attention, because what's coming next won't make sense to the world. People will think you've lost your mind, because while they're clinging to systems, you're about to walk on water. While they panic, you'll be positioned. While they run, you'll be planted. The shift that's happening isn't for everyone. It's for the called, the rare, the ones with unshakable eyes and battle-born hearts, the ones who lost everything but refused to lose their fire. That's you, and I need you to do this now. Take a breath. Now feel that weight lifting off your shoulders. That's not imagination. That's the last residue of fear leaving your body. Because the final step is not about doing more. It's about remembering who you are. You are the weapon formed by heaven. You are the storm that darkness tried to delay but couldn't destroy. You are the mystery hell couldn't decode, the prophecy they forgot to silence, the chosen one that refuses to fall in line. You are not built for comfort. You are built for confrontation, not with people, not with systems, but with the illusions that have tried to keep you small. I dare you now, look at yourself, not the mask, not the version of you the world trained, the real one, the wild one, the eternal one. That version of you is standing up right now, and with every word you hear, something deep in your DNA is lighting up. This is not hype, this is ancient. You were sent here with a mission coded into your bones, buried beneath pain, buried beneath rejection, but not destroyed, only hidden until this very moment. This is your burning bush moment. And I don't care if your hands are shaking. I don't care if your voice is breaking. God didn't choose you for polish. He chose you for power. Subscribe now to join thousands of awakened souls who know they're not random. You're not watching this by mistake. This is part of your instructions. And if your soul has been waiting for a sign, this is it. The world has lied to you. They said your softness was weakness. They said your difference was dysfunction. But what they call too much, God calls exactly right. What they label weird, heaven calls warrior. Comment 777 for the third time if you're done apologizing for your light. This is your final step, not because it's the end, but because it's the beginning of a life they said was impossible. You are not here to repeat. You are here to redeem, not just your bloodline, but your timeline. You're not behind, you're not late, you're right on time for the greatest plot twist ever written. And if you're ready to reclaim everything they told you you'd never have, like this video right now, let the algorithm know this message needs to reach every chosen one across the planet. You're not alone, you're part of a rising. This isn't just a season of change, it's a prophetic eruption, and you are the epicenter. Stay with me, we're not done yet. There is a silence that comes before the shift, not the quiet of surrender, but the stillness of precision. That's where you are right now, suspended between what was and what is coming, in the eye of the spiritual storm. And even if the world hasn't noticed, heaven has already made the announcement: a chosen one is waking up. Not later, now. You may not feel ready, that doesn't matter. The call is not based on comfort, it's based on alignment. You're aligned now in ways that can't be undone. And the final step, it doesn't ask for your perfection, it demands your presence. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to show up with your full fire. Because this next chapter requires boldness that looks like madness to the untrained eye. It will look reckless to people addicted to safety. It will sound like rebellion to those who benefit from your silence. But it's not rebellion, it's remembrance. You are remembering what the world tried to erase, and what God has whispered to you in dreams, in pain, in those late-night moments when nobody else understood, is about to become visible. That vision, it's not just for you, it's the code for a generation. Every trial you survived was a piece of the blueprint. Every heartbreak, a map to your territory. Every time you were overlooked, that was divine concealment, not rejection. He was keeping you hidden, because oil this potent has to be protected until the moment it's needed. And now, you are needed. You are not here to play small in a system built on spiritual sedation. You are here to awaken nations. No one's going to hand you a microphone. No one's going to roll out a red carpet. But when you speak, frequency shifts. When you walk, chains snap. When you stay silent, the atmosphere groans. Because your voice is not an opinion, it's an unlocking. Comment 777 if you feel it in your chest. The pressure, the pull, the knowing. If your bones are vibrating with a truth too large for your current space. That's not anxiety, that's the tectonic plates of your purpose beginning to move. You weren't meant to be palatable, you were sent to be prophetic. That's why you make people uncomfortable without trying. That's why rooms shift when you enter. That's why people misunderstand you even when you speak clearly, because your spirit carries a sound from another realm. You're not just different, you're dangerous to the illusions they depend on. That's why they tried to tame you. That's why you were called too emotional, too intense, too deep. Because when you feel, you see. And when you see, you disrupt. Chosen one. This is the season where you stop asking for permission to be what heaven has already confirmed. You don't need more signs. You are the sign. You don't need more validation. You are the validation. The final step is not forward, it's inward, into the furnace, into the place you've been avoiding. Because what's waiting there is not your destruction, it's your destiny. You've been walking around it, praying over it. But now, heaven says, step into it. Let it break the shell. Let it burn the masks. Let it crush the false narratives. Because what comes out of the fire will not be fragile. It will be forged. You are not porcelain. You are obsidian. Pressure made you. Fire revealed you. This isn't about motivation. This is about activation. You're not being encouraged. You're being deployed. And some of you feel the weight of this not because you're weak, but because you've been chosen to carry the kind of oil that costs something. Your anointing came through agony. Your wisdom came through warfare. Your glow came through grief. And now you carry what no platform can manufacture: a frequency, a sound, a presence that hell cannot counterfeit. Comment 777 for the last time if you're done dimming down to fit in rooms not built for your roar. And while you're here, subscribe, not for numbers, but to stay connected to the sound calling the chosen ones out of hiding. You've heard it, you've felt it, you are it. Now listen, there's a deeper layer of this calling that no one talks about, not because it's a secret, but because most people aren't ready. But you are. Here it is. The pain you thought disqualified you was actually your preparation. God didn't waste a single scar. He coded revelation inside every wound, and that's why you feel things others don't. That's why you can read a room without words. That's why betrayal didn't break you, it opened you. Because your authority doesn't come from books or titles, it comes from blood. From being broken open so heaven could pour itself through you. From dying to your ego so truth could live in your bones. From being stripped of the applause so you could walk in authentic fire. You didn't just go through it, you were initiated by it. You are walking revelation, you are a living scroll, and the enemy knows it. That's why the attacks felt personal, because they were. That's why the warfare didn't make sense, because it wasn't just about you, it was about your reach. You are not being restored to where you were before. You are being released into where you've never been. The final step is not recovery, it's release. You are not returning, you are revealing. What's coming is not compensation, it's confirmation. Every gift is waking up now, every code is unlocking. Every part of you that you thought was too much is actually exactly what's needed to dismantle the systems built to suppress you. You are not crazy, you are early, you are not unstable. You are sensitive to spirit. You are not rejected. You are red-marked for glory. Chosen one, you are not just rising. You are the rising. And what's about to pour through you will shake timelines, rewrite destinies, and expose the imitation anointings built on borrowed language and performance. This is your unveiling. Stay with me. We're just getting started. There is a sound building in the heavens right now. And it has your name carved into its frequency. Not shouted, not whispered, declared. Because when God breathes purpose into a soul, the universe doesn't negotiate, it rearranges. The final step isn't about becoming someone new. It's about stepping into what's already been echoing through your DNA since before time knew your name. That ache you feel, that sense of more gnawing at your spirit, that's not confusion, that's divine memory trying to break through human limitation. You are remembering what your soul agreed to before your body ever took shape. You are remembering why the enemy started watching you before you even learned how to speak. You are remembering that you didn't come here to survive this world, you came here to shift it, and you've been patient long enough. Now the silence is cracking, and the call is getting louder. Heaven isn't asking you to be ready, it's requiring you to be real. Because real is what breaks the simulation. Real is what shakes the algorithm. Real is what pierces the counterfeit constructs wrapped in spiritual-sounding noise. And that's what you carry. Something real. That's why nothing fake can stand next to you for long. That's why shallow connections fall apart without warning. That's why surface-level language irritates your soul. You weren't built for half-truths. You carry whole fire. You don't just quote scripture. You embody prophecy. You don't just pray to be free. You move like someone who's already unbound. There is a certain weight that follows those chosen to disrupt timelines. You feel it. It's not depression, it's compression. Heaven folding you into position, because you're not just aligned, you're assigned. And this assignment is not for everyone. Only the ones who can walk alone and not lose the sound. Only the ones who can be misunderstood and still move with mercy. Only the ones who carry messages so sharp they cut through the veil without apology. That's you. That's why the enemy's strategy didn't aim to destroy your body. It targeted your belief. Because if it could convince you to doubt the mission, it wouldn't need to touch your strength. But you didn't bow. You didn't break. And now the cost you paid in silence is about to be answered in demonstration. You're not being elevated, you're being exposed, not to the world, to yourself, to the power that's always been buried under survival, to the fire that's been waiting beneath obedience, to the thunder that's been building beneath your quiet submission. This is not a reward, this is a release. Every part of you that's been on hold is being pulled to the front lines now. You are not being upgraded, you are being unleashed. Chosen one, listen carefully. This will not be the season where you explain yourself. This will not be the time you try to convince people to see your heart. This is the time where your presence speaks louder than their permission, where your silence breaks stronger than their applause, where your yes to God shakes foundations that were built to hold you down. There are places you're about to walk that weren't built to contain you, but they will be forced to expand. There are rooms where your name will be spoken in reverence by people who once ignored your presence. There are platforms that will try to harness your fire, but they won't be able to contain your oil, because what's on your life isn't for entertainment, it's not for ego, it's for eruption. This is what the final step looks like. Movement without validation, obedience without blueprint, faith without filter. Because when you walk in raw alignment, even the laws of nature must adjust. Miracles don't follow logic, they follow assignment. And you, chosen one, are walking proof that assignment outweighs appearance every time. People will wonder how you rose. They'll ask what shifted. They won't understand. Because the shift wasn't seen. It was heard, it was internal, it was spiritual, and it happened the moment you decided to stop dimming and start burning. Comment 777 now if you've already felt the fire pushing you forward, if your atmosphere has started rejecting the familiar, if your skin feels too tight for the power inside you. That's not anxiety, that's rebirth. You are being stretched because you no longer fit the frame you were forced into. You are being reshaped because your capacity has outgrown your comfort. You are not breaking down, you are breaking out. Of patterns, of personas, of spiritual cages dressed as wisdom, of relationships built to hold you hostage to a version of yourself that no longer exists. You are not who you were yesterday, and tomorrow won't recognize today's limitations. Because God is not rebranding you, He is reintroducing you to you, the original you, the one who didn't shrink for safety, the one who didn't wait for permission, the one who moved without overthinking, the one who trusted the voice without evidence. That version of you is reawakening. And this time, you're not going back to sleep. This is not revival. This is revolution. You don't need a stage. You don't need approval. You don't need clarity. You need courage. Courage to say yes while trembling. Courage to move while bleeding. Courage to believe while being mocked. Because when the chosen rise, it doesn't look neat. It looks wild. It looks messy. It looks like fire walking into temples and flipping tables. It looks like thunder dressed in humility. It looks like you, unfiltered, unafraid, unstoppable. Keep breathing, keep burning, because we are far from done. There are realms opening now, realms that do not respond to credentials, but to consciousness. And your consciousness has reached a point of no return. You can't unknow what's been revealed. You can't unsee what's been shown in the spirit. You can't undo the awakening that has already unraveled the version of you that played safe for applause. Because what just unlocked is ancient, older than language, louder than culture, deeper than logic. It's the part of you that doesn't flinch when storms rise. It's the part of you that doesn't fold when the room gets quiet. It's the part of you that doesn't negotiate with fear. This part of you is sovereign, and now it's being handed the keys. Not to blend in, not to fix the systems, but to override it. Chosen one, hear me now. This moment is not about your comfort, it's about your covenant. You made it long before the pain, long before the pressure. You said yes to being different before you had language for it, and now the weight of that yes is becoming visible. You're not just carrying a message, you are the message. And that's why some people will never receive you, because they were taught to worship the messenger, not become the message themselves. But you're not here to be worshipped. You're here to awaken, and awakening disrupts everything built on sleep. So don't be surprised when things start shaking, when systems stop responding, when familiar rhythms stop feeding you. You've graduated from milk to fire, and fire doesn't ask to be liked. It asks to be respected. It doesn't whisper to the dark. It declares war on it. That's why your silence is no longer an option. That's why your voice keeps returning even after you try to bury it. That's why your soul can't settle for shallow spaces. Because when God marked you, He didn't mark you to fit. He marked you to fracture the atmosphere, to interrupt patterns, to pierce dimensions, to carry a vibration that doesn't visit darkness. It dismantles it. And that's why the enemy is nervous. Because your rising isn't theoretical. It's active. Right now, timelines are bending because of your obedience. Chains are cracking because of your clarity. Strongholds are falling because of your frequency, not because you shouted, but because you stood, because you refused to shrink one more time just to keep the peace that was built on your silence, because you refused to compromise your knowing for their comfort, because you said yes when every part of your life was begging you to stay hidden. And that yes is echoing. It's not just a sound, it's a summoning. The angels have heard it. The atmosphere is aligning with it. Your next instructions are not coming from logic. They're coming from alignment. And when you align, you don't chase. Things start finding you. Because spiritual gravity pulls everything that matches your true vibration. That's why the old patterns are collapsing. That's why the people who once mirrored your pain no longer feel like home. You're not lonely. You are ascending. And there are people you haven't met yet who are already tuned into your frequency. They've been waiting for the sound you carry. Not your popularity, your purity. Because what's on your life cannot be counterfeited. It cannot be franchised. It cannot be taught. It can only be recognized by those who carry the same fire. So if everything around you feels like it's falling apart, it's because your environment is making room for divine convergence. Chosen one, stop calling it chaos. Start calling it construction. Heaven is rearranging your proximity, not to isolate you, but to insulate your next dimension. Because what's coming cannot be poured into broken containers. It has to be sealed in wholeness. And wholeness costs something. It costs your old story. It costs your comfort in dysfunction. It costs the identity you built in survival mode. Because you can't walk in destiny wearing garments soaked in fear. You can't prophesy freedom with your hands still clinging to familiarity. You can't carry fire if you're afraid of the burn. And you're not afraid anymore. You felt the flames. And instead of consuming you, they clarified you. Instead of destroying you, they defined you. Instead of silencing you, they summoned you. This is what the final step looks like. Stepping into the room not hoping they'll accept you, but knowing the room needed you to arrive before it could activate its real purpose. Comment 777. Again, if something inside you just confirmed that, if your bones just whispered, finally, if your silence just broke internally even before a word escaped your lips, that's not inspiration, that's recognition. Your soul is not reacting, it's remembering, and what it remembers is not small, it's sovereign. So don't dilute your presence, don't apologize for your discernment, don't shrink your roar. You are not created to be relatable, you were created to be revelatory. And revelation isn't soft, it cuts. It slices through lies, it convicts the comfortable, it wakes the sleeping, and you, chosen one, are carrying revelation wrapped in flesh. You are a walking disturbance to every structure not built in truth. You are the answer to questions that haven't even been asked yet. You are the sign people didn't know they were waiting for, so stop waiting to feel worthy. You are woven in worthiness. You don't earn this mantle. You are this mantle. Now stand in it. There's more coming. We're still rising. Some people are about to wonder how you got here. They'll assume it happened overnight. They'll try to make sense of it through the lens of hustle or luck or connections. But they won't understand, because they didn't see the nights your spirit was screaming but your mouth stayed shut. They didn't hear the prayers you couldn't put into words. They didn't feel the weight you carried in rooms where you had to pretend the fire wasn't consuming you from the inside out. You didn't rise through strategy. You rose through surrender. You didn't break through because you fought harder. You broke through because you let go when everything in you wanted to grip tighter. And that surrender gave birth to something no amount of effort ever could. It gave birth to alignment. And in alignment, mountains don't move because you push. They move because you show up carrying the authority of one who's already been through the furnace and came out glowing. You are not who you were when you started this. You've been reshaped in silence. And now the noise will respond. Not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. And clarity cuts deeper than volume ever could. This is what they never told you. Your stillness is a weapon, because it terrifies systems that depend on your reaction to maintain control. But you don't react anymore. You respond. You don't panic. You perceive. You don't chase. You call forth. Because you finally realize who you are when everything around you falls silent, and you're not afraid of the silence anymore. The silence became your sanctuary. It became the place where God recalibrated your frequency, where He stripped away the applause that seduced your ego, where He removed the titles that covered your wounds, where He exposed the idols that wore religious names but carried counterfeit power. He took you into the dark, not to punish you, but to purify you. And now, that purified version of you is stepping forward, not with noise, with weight. You walk different now, not because of arrogance, but because you've been authorized. This is the walk of one who knows they're backed by realms the world can't see. This is the stride of one who doesn't need confirmation because heaven already said yes. This is the posture of someone who doesn't shrink to be liked or explain to be understood. You don't seek their acceptance. You command their attention, not with your voice, with your vibration. Because the atmosphere recognizes frequency before language, and what you carry cannot be denied. It cannot be copied. It cannot be stolen, because it was forged in dimensions most people avoid. You didn't skip steps. You took every hit and still chose love. You took every delay and still chose faith. You took every betrayal and still kept your heart open enough to receive. That is power. That is the kind of power that doesn't make headlines but rewrites history. And that's why you've been hidden until now. Because the kind of glory on your life doesn't come fast. It comes through fire. It comes through time. It comes through depth. And now it's ready. Now you're ready. Comment 7FMD7 right now if this is confirming something you've never said out loud. If you've been feeling the shift but couldn't explain it. If your dreams have been louder. If your sleep has been thinner. If your hunger for more can no longer be filled by shallow teachings and surface-level conversations. You're not losing your mind. You're gaining your mantle. This is not mental confusion. It's spiritual acceleration. Your mind is trying to catch up to what your spirit already knows. And what your spirit knows is this. The next move isn't a move at all. It's a becoming. You're not stepping into something new. You're stepping into yourself. The version of you that doesn't wait to be chosen because they already know they are. The version of you that doesn't ask for the door to open because they are the door. The version of you that doesn't settle for access because they carry authority. You don't walk like them because you weren't built like them. You weren't built to mimic. You were built to model. Not what's popular, what's pure, not what's trendy, what's timeless. Because what's in you didn't come from culture. It came from the Creator. And what He puts in motion, no man can cancel. You are unstoppable not because of your strength, but because of your source. You're not here because of platforms. You're here because of prophecy. You're not rising because you're liked. You're rising because it was written. So stop questioning it. Stop delaying it. Stop wondering if you're enough. You wouldn't be hearing this if you weren't. You wouldn't still be standing if you weren't the one meant to carry this frequency into places that forgot how to feel God, into systems that polished performance and buried presence, into churches that became corporations, into families that lost their fire, into bodies that forgot how to burn. You're not coming to fit in, you're coming to ignite. So don't wait for instructions written by hands that never touched the fire. You already know what to do. Now do it. Move, speak, shine, rattle the walls, break the pattern, walk like the earth was built to carry your weight, because it was, and heaven is watching, not to judge you, but to back you. More is coming, and it will require all of you. But this time, you're not afraid to bring all of you to the table, because you finally know. You are the table. There are people right now who feel your arrival before they ever hear your voice. They sense you, even if they've never met you, because your presence speaks before your mouth opens, because your energy walks into the room fully clothed in instruction. You are not here to be explained. You are here to be experienced, and some will be offended by your clarity, because your clarity will expose their confusion. Some will accuse you of being intense, because your peace doesn't bend under pressure. You're not misunderstood because you're complicated. You're misunderstood because you carry a blueprint others weren't given. You were not designed to repeat history. You were built to redirect it. That's why the old circles felt too tight. That's why the old habits started to itch. That's why the spaces that once fed you now feel hollow. Because you've outgrown everything that was attached to the version of you that needed external permission to believe what your spirit always knew was real. You're not arrogant, you're accurate. And accuracy intimidates people who built their world on approximation. You don't need to be louder, you need to be truer. You don't need more followers. You need more frequency, because your next breakthrough won't come from being seen. It will come from being synchronized, not with popularity, with purpose, with truth, with heaven's rhythm. Chosen one, this moment is asking something different from you. Not harder work, not more strategy, but deeper surrender, because you don't need to earn what's already been assigned. You need to align with it. And alignment will cost you what comfort convinced you was required for survival. It will cost you the role you played in rooms that needed you quiet. It will cost you the smile you wore to keep the peace while your soul was screaming. It will cost you the version of you that made being digestible more important than being divine. But hear me, what's coming will require all of your truth, not the part you curated, not the part you learned how to say just right. All of it, the raw, the radical, the redeemed. Because what's on your life isn't for optics, it's for eruption. You were sent to break open wells in dry places. You were sent to call fire down in cold systems. You were sent to reawaken the ones who forgot they were chosen because the world sedated their sound. And your sound, chosen one, is not just poetic, it's prophetic. You don't speak to impress, you speak to unlock. And everything about your life until now has been setting the stage for this unlocking. Every delay was not denial, it was development. Every no was not rejection, it was redirection. Every silence was not absence, it was a sacred setup. Because if God gave you visibility before you had vision, they would have followed your image instead of your instruction. But now, you see, not just what's in front of you, but what's behind the veil. You see the agenda hiding behind the applause. You see the hollowness behind the hype. You see the manipulation wrapped in scripture and sold as mentorship. And you're not bitter. You're built different. You're not triggered. You're trusted. You were given eyes not to judge, but to discern. And that discernment is the doorway to your next level. Because heaven doesn't promote gifts, it promotes governance. And you've been trusted to govern atmospheres, not just because you can prophesy, but because you know how to protect the presence. You don't just carry language, you carry weight, and weight shifts dimensions before words ever do. So if you've been wondering why people fall silent around you, it's because your presence makes them hear their own emptiness louder. If you've been wondering why opportunities pause when you walk in, it's because the room is waiting to adjust to your frequency. If you've been wondering why you feel warfare right before your breakthrough, it's because hell knows what happens if you ever realize the full voltage you carry. So realize it, own it, don't perform it, embody it. Comment 777 if this is the hour you stop auditioning for rooms you were called to rebuild from the ground up. Let this be the final time you ask for permission to walk in authority you were born to carry. Let this be the last season you tolerate systems that beg for your presence but despise your power. Let this be the day your walk becomes heavier than your words. Because when you walk in truth, creation recognizes you. When you walk in power, silence breaks around you. When you walk in purpose, every demon assigned to distract you gets nervous. You don't have to yell. You don't have to explain. You just have to stand. Stand in your anointing. Stand in your discernment. Stand in your fire. Because you weren't sent to explain storms. You were sent to command them. And this storm, this one's not coming to break you. It's coming to announce you. Because heaven doesn't whisper when a chosen one rises. It roars. And right now, the roar is getting louder. There's a moment when heaven stops whispering and starts shaking. And you, chosen one, are that moment in human form. You are the interruption in cycles they thought would never end. You are the embodiment of promises that looked like delays, but were really divine disguises. You are the echo of prayers whispered by ancestors who never saw the answer, but carried the faith that it would come through you. That's why your battles have been generational, because your victory will be generational. That's why your name started stirring spirits before you even understood your calling. You weren't born into peace, you were born to bring it. And peace doesn't come through comfort, it comes through confrontation. The kind that doesn't start outside, but inside. Inside your mind, where fear learned your patterns. Inside your body, where trauma built altars. Inside your memory, where rejection wrote false narratives in ink meant to be permanent. Until now. Now the ink is fading. Now the script is breaking. Now the version of you that was shaped by survival is giving way to the one molded by sovereignty. Because your identity is no longer attached to what you went through. It's rooted in who sent you. And who sent you didn't just send a person. He sent a force, a disruptor of bloodlines, a breaker of cultural curses, a holy contradiction to every label that tried to limit you. You don't walk into rooms as one, you walk in as many. Every version of you that died and came back wiser. Every layer of you that was silenced but grew sharper. Every scar that became scripture. You walk in carrying a chorus of survival that sounds like thunder when you move in truth. And truth is your weapon, not because it cuts others, but because it frees you. You are not called to win arguments. You are called to wage atmospheres, to take up space in silence until lies collapse under the weight of your clarity. To speak once and split strongholds without raising your voice. To just be and watch the false fall in your presence. This is the danger of your stillness. This is the fire behind your restraint. This is why warfare rises when you refuse to shrink. Because every time you choose alignment over applause, you starve a system that fed on your insecurity. Every time you sit in the tension without explaining yourself, you rob the enemy of access to your peace. Every time you walk away from what doesn't honor your spirit, you confirm to heaven that you are ready for territory. Because you were never promised a platform, you were promised dominion. And dominion doesn't require followers. It requires fortitude. It requires the kind of internal structure that doesn't crumble when the applause fades. The kind that can carry influence without becoming addicted to visibility. The kind that can hear God in a whisper and still move like they heard a trumpet. That's you. That's why you've been hidden. That's why you've been pressed. That's why you've been preserved while others were promoted. Because oil that heals nations cannot be rushed. Because voices that shift culture must be carved, not coached. Because presence that carries presence has to first be emptied of performance. You didn't miss your moment. You are the moment. Comment 7/7. If your spirit just stood up and said, now is the time for everything that's been sitting dormant in your belly to come alive. Now is the time for your no to sound louder than your need to be needed. Now is the time for your boundaries to become spiritual warfare, holy lines drawn in fire. Now is the time to stop apologizing for what God authored in you. You are not a suggestion, you are a statement, not a maybe, a mandate. You didn't choose this, this chose you. And now you're choosing not to run. Now you're choosing not to rehearse old scripts in new rooms. Now you're choosing not to betray yourself to be embraced by people who haven't done the work to meet you at your level. Because this level doesn't speak the language of desperation. It speaks resonance. And what doesn't resonate will fall away. Not because you're pushing it, but because your vibration no longer allows it to stay. This is what ascension looks like. Not floating away from reality, but becoming too real for falsehood to stay attached. Not escaping the earth, but walking it in such authority that it remembers who owns it. You've been quiet for long enough. Not because you had nothing to say, but because God was teaching you how to carry the sound without needing the stage. And now the sound is rising. From your silence, from your history, from your bones. This is not volume, it's voltage. This is not noise, it's a name. And heaven is calling it forth. There are blueprints locked inside of you that were never meant to be taught. They were meant to be triggered. Triggered by tension, triggered by silence, triggered by the exact pressure you've been trying to pray away. Because heaven never wastes resistance, it uses it as a key. And you, chosen one, have been standing in front of the door this entire time holding the weight that turns the lock. Not knowledge, not credentials, but weight, spiritual mass. Evidence of what you survived without becoming what tried to kill you. Evidence of what you carried while no one clapped. Evidence of what you released when you could have retaliated. That is what qualifies you. Not your articulation, but your allegiance to the truth when lies were more profitable. Not your ability to fit in, but your refusal to shrink. Not your eloquence, but your endurance. The world measures strength in performance. Heaven measures it in posture. And your posture? It's been unshaken, even while your hands were trembling, even while your soul was breaking, even while your voice cracked through every whispered yes. Heaven never needed you to be loud, it needed you to be anchored. Because anchored ones don't shift with trends. Anchored ones don't float when storms hit. Anchored ones don't bend when culture changes its shape every 3 seconds. Anchored ones set the temperature. And you've been walking through fires that weren't meant to destroy you, but to solidify your anchor. So now, when the winds rise, you don't flinch. Now when the silence comes, you don't scramble for noise. Now, when the room feels off, you don't adjust to it, you realign it. Because what's in you no longer seeks harmony with chaos. It brings order. The kind of order that can't be managed by metrics. The kind that can't be measured by reach. The kind that makes spirits stand at attention even when your mouth hasn't moved. Because your authority is no longer coming from what you say, it's coming from what you've become. You didn't become it by studying it. You became it by surviving through it. And now you don't just carry knowledge, you carry proof. Proof that peace can live in the middle of a battlefield. Proof that love can grow in places soaked with betrayal. Proof that identity can rise from ashes that were meant to silence your name forever. And now the ashes are testifying. Now the scars are singing. Now the things that tried to bury you are being forced to announce your resurrection. Because death didn't win. Fear didn't win. Delay didn't win. You did. And not by skipping the pain, but by passing through it with your faith intact. Comment 7/27. Yes, If that just hit something in you that even your own words haven't been able to explain, if your spirit has been walking around in a body that's too small for the fire it's holding, if your dreams are no longer just pictures of the future, but instructions for the present, because the time for waiting is over. This is not the hour to prepare. This is the hour to possess. What you've been praying for is not coming, it's here. And it's looking for the version of you that's no longer interested in surviving the wilderness, but in conquering it. Because the wilderness wasn't sent to break you, it was sent to separate you. Separate you from distraction, separate you from false sources, separate you from old agreements signed in fear but broken in fire. And now you are separated, set apart, sanctified, not by ritual, but by revelation. And that revelation is about to go public, not with a post, with a presence, not with a statement, with a shift. The kind of shift that doesn't ask permission. The kind of shift that makes even the ones who dismissed you stop and ask, who is this? The kind of shift that cannot be tracked by data, but leaves undeniable evidence behind. You're about to become undeniable, not because you're louder, not because you're flashier, but because truth has weight and your walk now drips with it. The kind of truth that doesn't sell well, but sets free. The kind of truth that doesn't flatter, but frees. The kind of truth that doesn't stroke ego, but breaks chains. You are that truth in motion. You are that freedom in flesh. You are that fire that didn't come to warm rooms. You came to purify them. So let the temperature rise. Let the tension build. Let the shaking continue. You don't need calm to stay grounded. You carry gravity now, and gravity doesn't ask the room to stay still. It pulls the room into order. Let them feel the shift. Let them feel the weight. Let them feel the silence you've mastered become the thunder they can no longer ignore. Because this isn't your debut, it's your demonstration, and what's coming next will not be explained. It will only be felt. There are rooms being prepared right now that are shaped for your voice before your feet ever enter. Rooms that don't need your resume, they need your resonance. Rooms that will not be impressed by your past, but will collapse under the pressure of your presence. Because what you carry is not a brand, it's a frequency. One that doesn't perform, one that doesn't market, one that doesn't beg for platform. It simply shakes what is unstable until only truth remains. And that's why some rooms will close when you get close. Because they were never built to survive the clarity you walk with. Because they were built on comfort, and you carry conviction. Because they were built on manipulation, and you carry mandate. Because they were built on maintenance, and you carry momentum. You didn't come to decorate the temple. You came to tear the veil. To walk past the performance and enter the raw presence, to remove the hierarchy and restore the holy, to bring God back to places that forgot His name while still using His words. That's why you were crushed in silence. That's why you were stripped before you were sent. Because purity doesn't come from the spotlight, it comes from the crushing. The type of crushing that makes you question everything you thought was necessary. The type of crushing that empties your hands of good ideas so your spirit can carry God's intention. The type of crushing that doesn't just remove distractions. It removes identities that were never yours to begin with. Now you stand bare. No performance, no persona, no polished sound bites to make the pain prettier. Only fire, only fullness, only function that flows from freedom. This is why people don't recognize you anymore. Because what they remember is the version of you shaped for survival, not the one forged for fire, the one who smiled to be accepted, the one who stayed small to keep the room comfortable, the one who filtered truth because they hadn't earned the right to leave yet. But now you're not asking to leave. You've outgrown the door. Now you're not waiting to be excused. You've become the exit. The exit from false safety, the exit from spiritual stagnation, the exit from religious repetition. You are the exodus. You're the shift they didn't see coming. You are the sound that can't be predicted because it wasn't taught, it was transferred. Transferred through silence, transferred through wilderness, transferred through altar after altar where you laid down your will and picked up weight. And now the weight is speaking, not in words, in movement, in steps that don't match the beat of culture, in choices that confuse those still measuring success by applause, in peace that feels offensive to those who only know pressure. Comment 777 if you know exactly what that peace feels like. That calm that doesn't make sense. That rest that came not from a vacation, but from a revelation. That rest that told you you're not behind, you're just on divine timing. That rest that reminded you you don't need to push when you've already been positioned. That rest that taught you being unseen doesn't mean you're unused, it means you're undisturbed. Because what's coming doesn't require your noise, it requires your nearness. Not to platforms, to presence, to power that doesn't beg to be noticed, to purity that doesn't advertise itself, to authority that doesn't need to shout. You've tasted that kind of authority now. You've walked into situations that used to shake you and felt nothing but stillness inside. You've heard the same lies recycled in new tones, and your discernment didn't even blink. You've seen the same tricks try to dress themselves in new garments, and your spirit stayed quiet because you didn't need to fight. You've already won, not because you got louder, because you got rooted. And roots don't make headlines, but they hold empires. You've become unshakable.